I'll call the meeting to order, and the first item on the menu is approving our bylaws, and this creates the organization, and it will allow us to get nonprofit status and tax-exempt status from the IRS, which is a very good thing. So the way it works is I've drawn up a rough draft of our Schmidt Family Reunion Committee bylaws, and I will read each article. There's 10 articles. Some are pretty short, and a couple are pretty long and boring. But if you'll bear with me, I'll read through each of them, and then I will ask if there's any questions or objections, and then we can vote on each one. And it should go pretty fast. So I'd like to move that we adopt Article 1, which is Name and Headquarters. And it reads, Section 1, the name of this organization shall be the Schmidt Family Reunion Committee. Section 2, the headquarters of this organization shall be located in Emmitsburg, Iowa. Do we have any objections or questions?
No.
Nope.
Okay,
good.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And all those opposed, no. Okay, the motion carries, and Article 1 has been adopted. Article 2, I move that we adopt, which deals with purpose, and the text of this article reads, the purpose of the Schmidt Family Reunion Committee is to strengthen the family bonds between descendants of the Schmidt family of Machtlos by Ronshausen, Germany, especially amongst the American branches of said family, to increase awareness of our shared family heritage through research into our family roots, and by educating people regarding our heritage through various means, and to hold periodic family reunions for members of the Schmidt family at times and places to be determined by the Board of Directors of the Schmidt Family Reunion Committee. Any questions or objections?
No questions.
All those
Sounds
opposed
good.
say aye. Or all those in favor say aye, I'm sorry.
Aye.
Aye.
And all those opposed, no. The motion carries, and we have adopted Article 2. Article 3, I move that we adopt, which deals with the structure of the organization. And Article 3 reads, Section 1, the structure of the Schmidt Family Reunion Committee shall consist of A, the global chapter of the organization, and B, subsidiary family chapters of the organization. Section 2, the global chapter of the organization shall consist of all members from the subsidiary family chapters and other members of the Schmidt family. The global chapter shall be governed by the Board of Directors of the Schmidt Family Reunion Committee. Section 3, the subsidiary family chapters of the organization shall be organized by smaller branches of the Schmidt family as the family members desire. Any objections or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And all those opposed, no. The motion carries, and Article 3 has been adopted. I move that we adopt Article 4, which deals with membership in the organization. Article 4 reads, Section 1, the membership of the Schmidt Family Reunion Committee shall consist of all descendants of the Schmidt family of Machtlos by Ronshausen, Germany, specifically all descendants of Hans Schmidt and Elizabeth née Kirsten, who were married in Weissenhasel, Germany on the 28th of December, 1649 AD. Section 2, also included in the membership of the Schmidt Family Reunion Committee shall be all adopted children of the biological descendants of said Schmidt family, as well as the offspring of those adopted children. And Section 3, also included in the Schmidt Family Reunion Committee, shall be all spouses, widows, and widowers of the descendants, biological or adopted, of said Schmidt family. Are there any objections or questions?
No.
All
No.
those in favor say aye.
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 And all those opposed, no. And the motion carries. We have adopted Article 4. Article 5, I move that we adopt, which deals with reunions and meetings. And Article 5 reads, Section 1, the Schmidt family shall reunite periodically at times and places to be determined by the Board of Directors of the Schmidt Family Reunion Committee. The determination of the time and place for each reunion shall be made by a plurality vote of the Board of Directors. In the event of a tie vote, the tie-breaking decision shall be made by the President of the Board of Directors. Section 2, the Board of Directors of the Schmidt Family Reunion Committee shall hold a meeting at least 4 times a year, once in each fiscal quarter. at times and places to be unanimously agreed upon by the Board of Directors. These meetings may be held in person, or should distance or other circumstances interfere, board members may also participate in board meetings via telephone or internet. Meetings of the Board of Directors of the Schmidt Family Reunion Committee may also be called for by the request of 2 or more members of the Board of Directors. Section 3, the scale of registration fees for Schmidt family reunions shall be decided by plurality vote of the Board of Directors of the Schmidt Family Reunion Committee. Any objections or questions? And all those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
And all those opposed, no. Okay, the motion carries. Article 5 has been adopted. Next up, we have a really long, boring one, and I apologize in advance. I move that we adopt Article 6, which deals with the Board of Directors and its officers. Article 6 reads, Section 1, the officers of the Schmidt Family Reunion Committee shall be A, President, B, Vice President, C, Secretary, D, Assistant Secretary, E, Treasurer, F, Assistant Treasurer. Section 2, an officer of the Schmidt Family Reunion Committee must fulfill all of the following qualities. A, she or he must be 18 years of age or older. B, she or he must be a member of the Schmidt Family Reunion Committee as defined in Article 4 of these bylaws. C, she or he must be a member of the Board of Directors of the Schmidt Family Reunion Committee. Section 3, the responsibilities of the President shall include the organizing, execution, and moderating of meetings, the responsibility for timely filing of necessary legal documents on behalf of the organization, the responsibility of representing the organization in business matters, the responsibility of casting tie-breaking decisions in tied votes of the Board of Directors, the responsibility of providing direction and decision-making and the planning of the periodic family reunions, and the responsibility of communicating with and ensuring compliance with the requirements of the Guinness World Record Association and any attempts at breaking the Guinness World Record for world's largest family reunion. Section 4, the responsibility of the Vice President shall be to assume all of the responsibilities of the President in the absence of the President or upon the resignation, discharge, or death of the President until such time as an election can be held to fill the recently vacated position. Section 5, the responsibilities of the Secretary shall be to keep written minutes of the meetings of the Board of Directors, as well as to provide safekeeping for all legal and financial documents relating to the organization. Section 6, the responsibility of the Assistant Secretary shall be to assume all of the responsibilities of the Secretary in the absence of the Secretary or upon the resignation, discharge, or death of the Secretary until such time as an election can be held to fill the recently vacated position. Section 7, the responsibilities of the Treasurer shall be to oversee the finances of the Schmidt Family Reunion Committee, to ensure the proper handling of organization funds, and to advise the Board of Directors on the spending of organization funds. Section 8, the responsibility of the Assistant Treasurer shall be to assume all of the responsibilities of the Treasurer in the absence of the Treasurer or upon the resignation, discharge, or death of the Treasurer until such time as an election can be held to fill the recently vacated position. Section 7, the officer positions and board member positions of the Schmidt Family Reunion Committee shall be filled upon the founding of the organization by appointment of the President. Thereafter, all officer positions and board member positions will in the future be filled by an election to take place during the quarterly meeting of the Board of Directors that most immediately follows each of the official global family reunions. The electors in said election will consist of the members of the Board of Directors. In said election, each officer position and each board member position will be filled by a plurality vote of the incumbent members of the Board of Directors. In the case that there is a tie in said election, the tie-breaking decision will be made by the incumbent or outgoing president of the Board of Directors. Section 10, upon the resignation, discharge, or death of an officer, the position shall be refilled by election at an emergency meeting of the Board of Directors held at the earliest possible date. The electors in this election shall consist of the remaining board members and shall be conducted in the manner prescribed in Article 6, Section 8 of these bylaws. Section 11, an officer may resign an officer position at any time by submitting a written or printed letter of resignation to the Board of Directors of the Schmidt Family Reunion Committee, but may continue to remain on the Board of Directors, albeit without an officer position if they so wish. Section 12, an officer may be discharged from his or her position by a plurality vote of the Board of Directors. In the event of a tie vote, the tie-breaking decision shall be made by the President of the Board of Directors. An officer who has been discharged may continue to remain on the Board of Directors, albeit without an officer position. Section 13, a board member may resign from the Board of Directors at any time by submitting a written or printed letter of resignation to the Board of Directors of the Schmidt Family Reunion Committee. In the event of a board member's resignation from the Board of Directors, said board member also resigns any office they held within the organization. A board member may be discharged from his or her position by a plurality vote of the Board of Directors. In the event of a tie vote, the tie-breaking decision shall be made by the President of the Board of Directors. In the event of a board member's discharge from the Board of Directors, said board member is also discharged from any office they held within the organization. Section 15, the number of members of the Board of Directors may be changed by a plurality vote of the existing board members in an election held at a meeting of the board. In the event of a tie vote, the tie-breaking decision shall be made by the President of the Board of Directors. Section 16, the number and type of officer positions of the Schmidt Family Reunion Committee may be changed by a plurality vote of the existing board members in an election held at a meeting of the board. In the event of a tie vote, the tie-breaking decision shall be made by the President of the Board of Directors. Section 17, in the event of a lack of available or willing nominees for an office, one individual may be elected to and may hold multiple offices simultaneously. Whew. Okay. Any objections or questions to Article 6?
That was lengthy, but...
Please?
Oh, go ahead.
Would you repeat it, please?
Yeah.
I'm just joking.
Okay. So all those in favor, say aye.
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 And all those opposed, no? Okay, the motion carries. Article 6 has been adopted. I move that we adopt Article 7, which deals with executive decisions. Article 7 reads, Section 1, the planning and execution of the Schmidt Family Reunion Committee events and family reunions shall be conducted by executive decisions made through plurality votes of the Board of Directors of said organization. In the event of a tie vote, the tie-breaking decision shall be made by the President of the Board of Directors. In small matters such as the design of websites, web pages, graphics, promotional videos, and the like, the Board of Directors may appoint web designers or graphic designers to work at liberty. However, in any decisions that involve the spending of organization funds or the legal representation of the organization, said decision must be approved by a plurality vote of the Board of Directors of the Schmidt Family Reunion Committee. Section 2, the President of the Board of Directors of the Schmidt Family Reunion Committee shall only be permitted to veto decisions of the Board of Directors in which the decision at hand does not pertain to the discharge of said President from his or her position. Any objections or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
And all those opposed say nay. And the motion carries. We have adopted Article 7. I move that we adopt Article 8, which deals with amendments. And Article 8 reads, Section 1, these bylaws may be amended or repealed at a meeting of the Board of Directors of the Schmidt Family Reunion Committee. Such amendments and repeals will be decided by an election whereby the electors shall consist of the board members of this organization, and a plurality vote shall decide such amendments and repeals. In the event of a tie vote, the tie-breaking decision shall be made by the President of the Board of Directors. Any objections or questions? And all those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
And all those opposed, no. And the motion carries. And we have adopted Article 8. I move that we adopt Article 9, which deals with dissolution. And Article 9 reads, Section 1, the Schmidt Family Reunion Committee may be dissolved only with authorization by its Board of Directors given at a special meeting called for that purpose, and with subsequent approval by a unanimous vote of the Board of Directors. Upon dissolution or other termination of the Schmidt Family Reunion Committee, all remaining assets of the organization after payment in full of all its debts, obligations, and necessary final expenses, or after the making of adequate provision therefor, shall be distributed to such charities and tax-exempt organizations as shall be chosen by the then existing Board of Directors of the Schmidt Family Reunion Committee. Any questions or objections? And all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
And all those opposed, no. And the motion carries. I move that we adopt Article 10, the final article, entitled Parliamentary Procedure. Article 10 reads as follows. Section 1, the rules contained in the Roberts Rules of Order shall govern all business and affairs of the Schmidt Family Reunion Committee, except when outlined differently in these bylaws. Any objections or questions?
No.
And all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And all those opposed, no. And the motion carries. And we are all done with the bylaws.
Yay. Good job.
The next order of business, I move that we, as an organization, seek nonprofit status for our committee under IRS 501c7. Are there any objections or questions about this motion?
Say that
All
again,
those
Jim.
I move that we seek nonprofit status for our committee under the IRS 501c7 code.
Okay. And so contributions to a 501c7 are deductible or not deductible?
Contributions are not deductible, but our committee would not have to pay certain taxes.
Okay.
Yep,
Okay.
when we make expenditures.
Okay.
Any other questions or discussions? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 And all those opposed, no. Okay, the motion carries.
And
the next order of business.
remember right, a C7 is quite a bit less reporting or paperwork at year end?
Yes, it does also come with some perks as far as reporting requirements. They have to report a little bit less to the Secretary of State and other organizations.
Great. Okay.
Next order of business is we have been holding a poll on our Facebook page for the reunion event about what people think the individual contribution amount should be for people who are going to be coming to the reunion. One idea that I had was to make a list or a sort of sliding scale of different contribution amounts, and perhaps we could let each individual decide how much they were able or willing to contribute to the reunion fund based on their own ability rather than just having one price for everybody. Does anybody else have any other ideas or suggestions regarding that?
I think that's really good because you don't want the price to exclude anybody.
Mm-hmm.
However, you may say, like a suggested contribution would be, X per person.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and the other part of that is that we don't want to make it too expensive for the younger generations to come.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I know that my nieces and nephews think that it sounds really great to try to set this world record, but if the cost was too much, then they might not come.
Right.
Yeah, the most important thing is just to get people to come and show up, I think.
Yes.
Yes.
Would everybody be fine if we included an option in there for a $0 contribution amount, just in case somebody is really tight on their budget at the moment?
Yes, that'd be okay.
Yeah.
Right. Fine with me.
Okay. All those in favor of having a scale of different contribution amounts that attendees to the reunion can make, say aye.
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 And all those opposed, no. Okay, the motion carries. The next order of business, The next order of business is to start up a bank account. We have a cousin named Michael Schubert, and he's actually the nephew of John Schmidt, who couldn't be with us on the conference call tonight. But he is a financial advisor with Edward Jones, and he said that he would be willing to help us set up a bank account with Edward Jones for free. And he gave us a little bit of information on the kind of bank account that we would be able to set up after we're incorporated as a nonprofit. All giving to, it says here, all giving to our organization would indeed be tax deductible. So what I said earlier about contributions to our committee not being tax deductible, I was mistaken about that. So it would be tax deductible. There would be no minimum balance on the bank account. There would be no monthly service fees. We could have as many as 3 authorized people on the bank account. And I think probably the most sensible would be to have myself, the treasurer, and the assistant treasurer as the 3 people on the bank account. We could set up a general account where we could put money into an interest-bearing account over the next couple of years. We would be able to put some money maybe in some like 6-month or 12-month CDs to help grow some of the money in the run-up to the reunion itself. And we would just need to submit the bylaws of our organization and our nonprofit letter, and he would be able to help us get it started. Are there any questions about this?
No.
My question is, how easy or hard is it going to be to make deposits? Is this kind of a bank that's somewhat local, or is it a mail type thing, or what? I mean, I'm in another group, and we ended up changing it from a local bank to like Wells Fargo or something, just because it was easier to get the deposits made and stuff.
Absolutely. And I asked him that same question. That's a great question. There is an Edward Jones branch here in Emmitsburg, and we would just need at least 1 authorized person to sign the check in order to deposit it. And then in order to make any expenditures according to our bylaws, we would authorize any expenditures as a board with a plurality vote at a meeting.
Okay.
So while that's not really a bank, it's an investment firm, they do have banking operations?
Exactly. Yep.
I was not aware of that. Interesting.
Any other questions?
And there's one. Yeah, okay.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm good.
Okay. All those in favor of seeking Michael Schubert's help with starting up a bank account with Edward Jones, say aye.
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 And all those opposed, no? Okay, the motion carries. And I would like to open up the floor to any other questions or discussions that people have about the reunion planning.
I have a question. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Are you seeking sponsorships for this, Josiah? Is that something we
have
considered?
thought about? We have thought a little bit about sponsorships, but we really have not laid any plans. So if you have any suggestions or ideas on that front, I would really love to hear them.
What do you think of Val for sponsor? What does that mean?
Oh, I just wondered if and I don't want it to be anybody doing any self-promotion through this, but something that could hold down the cost for some of those younger families and things like that. If we have family members with businesses like this, Michael Schubert, who wants to have maybe a Edward Jones sponsorship, or somebody else like that who maybe wants to and donate. We could have different levels if we needed. to help defray some of the costs and be able to do some of the things we want in order to get people there, that might be an option.
That's a great idea.
But again, I don't.
This is Valerie speaking, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever done anything sort of like that with any of the events at the community college there?
Oh, sure. Almost with everything. We're a poor public institution, and so you always look for sponsorships.
What's the process of usually going out to seek sponsorships?
Well, typically we would just talk to our vendors, people we do business with, that maybe specialize in that particular area. In this case, I was trying to kind of think of this through the family organization, and there wouldn't be any one vendor that maybe would be somebody, or any 10 vendors that people would do business with. However, there might be family members who would like to have their own little booth or their own little signage or something in exchange for, maybe Mr. Schubert would like to attract some customers that might be family members, and so in exchange he'd be willing to do a $250 sponsorship, or a $500 or a $100, or you know what I'm saying, something along those lines.
Absolutely, yeah, that's a great idea. And
or it might be, and again, maybe we don't want to commercialize this really cool family thing and turn it into something like that. And it depends on what our goals are and how much money we need to raise, I suppose.
Right.
Do we need sponsors? And maybe that's the question. Maybe we don't even need sponsors.
Yeah. And if anything, if we end up raising too much money, if we go the sponsorship route, I'm not exactly sure on the legalities of this, but there might be a way that we could offer some sort of scholarship. And I know there's some kinds of rules that say you can't restrict the pool of recipients for a scholarship too much. So I'm not sure if we would be able to offer a scholarship to people who are part of our family. Do you know anything about that, Valerie?
Yeah, I do. I think you can, as long as you have a scholarship selection committee that would ensure, for example, that Becky Dykes doesn't donate money to this organization tax-free, and then with the stipulation that it goes to her grandchild.
Gotcha.
So you would have to have a committee to make sure that the criteria is met, and so it's not a tax evasion type thing.
Gotcha. I think you made a really great point that sponsorships and vendors could be a good way to defray the costs for younger or struggling families who'd like to attend, but they can't really afford to contribute.
Just say another kind of sponsorship, Val. Like, who else would like an elevator?
Okay, so like if we're going to get Carlson Schmidt family T-shirts, maybe the company that we buy our T-shirts from would like to have a sponsorship.
I get it now. Okay.
Maybe the Dykes family would like to have their own special sponsor booth, and
Yeah, I got you now. So
something to that effect.
Okay. I think that's a great idea. Let's start working on that, and we'll kind of keep it on the front burner, because that might really be a great way to fundraise for the organization without putting the attendees out too much financially.
Exactly.
Any other suggestions or questions?
Yeah, my other question, suggestion, whatever, is I'm in a Civil War group, and one of our members is employed at Walmart, and if she can document her volunteer hours every quarter, she gets like $250 comes to our organization for her hours, volunteer hours. So I'm aware of that one, and also there's some changes, and this one I'd have to make some more inquiries into, but Private Financial for Lutherans is changing some of their ways that they're doing things, and for people that have accounts with them, they can do some kind of activity sponsorship type thing. And so I don't know how many Lutherans they might have in the group, but some Lutherans might have some money available for specific activities or events. Like maybe T-shirts or something. I don't know exactly how that would all work, but I know that there's some changes there too. So
I can check on that if anybody's interested, because my son happens to be a Thrivent financial advisor.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. I've been on a couple of boards and stuff like that, so I know that. But yeah, he might understand it better than I do, because I'm not active right now. But I know that some of that's for nonprofit.
You want to go
stuff like that. So, and since I guess
say that again. What they can do?
What?
Can you say again? I'm writing this down. What Thrivent can do?
Well, Thrivent is changing how they distribute their monies that they have to send back as a fraternal organization. And my understanding is that as a nonprofit, individuals who have accounts with them are entitled to so much money, and that they can sponsor or do an activity and get money. So, like, maybe somebody could, and I don't know right now what we could do, but we could investigate it and look at it and see how that fraternal money is coming back, and see if there's any options.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
I can ask him if that's okay.
Yeah, go for it.
And he does have Palo Alto County.
Yeah. So, I would ask him. And the other thing is that in my doing some of the research, Martin Luther's mother was a Lindemann. But I can't come up with a connection, but I made that much of a connection.
Now, that would be fun.
Seriously, that's fun.
Yeah, I keep looking for that connection, and everybody tells me, all my theological professors tell me that they didn't have any children that survived childhood, so there were no other descendants. So I'm not sure, but
could it be nieces or nephews?
Well, that's it. I haven't spent as much time studying that as I like to. That's on my bucket list,
Maybe we're all 30th great grandnephews and nieces of Martin Luther.
Yeah, that's what I keep hoping. I keep hoping I can trump somebody in the Lutheran church.
That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, I just have found that one very interesting because I had looked at that genealogy a little bit. And so
that's fun.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any ideas or suggestions for T-shirts promoting the reunion that people can buy beforehand? Any ideas for pictures or mottos or logos that we could print on T-shirts?
Well, I like what's on the logo that you're using now, the ultimate or the
I do too.
Family Radio. I really like that.
Mhm.
Maybe stay with
Any
that.
other ideas for how we could promote the reunion and the run-up to it?
I would say local paper, maybe,
Yeah.
Somehow get, or even like KICD from Spencer, and maybe we could get Sioux City involved with a news app. Maybe, I don't know how that works, if they would even. But if you have the Guinness Book of Records involved, they might take an interest in that.
Yeah.
The other thing we might start doing is being really aware of whenever there's a history or genealogy date on the calendar. Like there's always, June is Dairy Month and all of that, and the 15th of July is Ice Cream Day, and, so I don't know if there's any genealogy days. I haven't looked, but it would be interesting to investigate that and see if there was any way to play off of some of that, and if nothing else, to help raise awareness to family history.
Given the role that the state of Iowa plays in electoral politics, the summer of 2016 is going to be a pretty interesting time. Might be kind of fun if we could get the presidential nominees to come out and make some pitches or something.
Right. And you might start talking to Iowa Public TV because, like every Monday night they do the antique road show, and then like tonight, as I was just before I was calling you, or as I was calling in, there was I can't ever remember the guy's name, but he's an African American who does a history and looks at
Henry
DNA.
Louis Gates.
Yeah, maybe there'd be some way to get some connection or something there and do something. I would think I'm thinking way outside the boxes tonight, but oh well.
That's what we need.
These are good. These are good suggestions.
I do that sometimes, so
I think the bigger we can make it seem, and the more exciting we can make it seem, I think the more people will be inclined to make the trek out to Spencer
right.
for this big event. So,
So, Josiah, are we going to set up committees to kind of do these things, like somebody be in charge of promotion, not somebody, but like groups of people, or?
Yeah, I think that would be the best way to go about it. And I left that specifically out of the bylaws because I figured that those sort of things would just come about kind of organically, and that people would be able to just band together and start working on things, without any bureaucracy to hinder them. So, yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Any other ideas or suggestions for things that we could do at the reunion, some fun events?
You're still thinking about the German line as far as the food and vendors go?
Yes, I have been in contact with a vendor who's based out of Chicago, and they do authentic German food and desserts and snacks, and they even sell little, trinkets and souvenirs that are German themed. So that could be a lot of fun.
Right.
Any ideas for other vendors that we might want to try to hook and try to get them to come out to the reunion?
Becky, you lived in Germany. What goes over well?
Well, I was thinking, we got the German food, but would they want anybody? Is there anybody local that's kind of specializes in, making but we don't want to step on toes if we've already got vendors coming in that make, I was thinking brats and stuff like that. But maybe they specialize in doing, something, especially in a locker in the area. Like at one time, didn't Whittemore have a
oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I think they went out of business.
Probably.
Yeah.
But we don't want to step on any vendors' toes that are coming in, and they're going to be making that either, and they might. But then, who's to say we can't have more than?
If we're thinking we're going to have the number of people that we that we're dreaming about or talking about, you're going to need multi-vendors because not everybody is going to go to the same place.
Exactly.
And not everybody likes that sort of stuff either. So.
Right. Yeah.
I wonder if there'd be anybody up at New Ulm that
good idea.
Could give us some kind of direction or have some names. There used to be a really cool meat market up there too, but I think they have closed. Last time I was up there, they were gone. But New Ulm's a cool place, or it used to be anyway. But
yeah. And about half of New Ulm is going to be coming to this reunion.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
A bunch of the Schmidts migrated up to the New Ulm area back in the 1940s and 1950s, and so a lot of Schmidts represented up there too. So we probably have some connections. Maybe some family-owned businesses might come and vend to the attendees.
That's neat.
How well connected, Josiah, are you? Everything, in all our studies shows that the way to reach out to people is through social media.
Yeah.
And how well connected are you to all the different branches? Do you have connections in each one through Facebook or?
I have at least a handful of connections to each one so far. Some of them it's been a little harder to introduce myself to than others because they're like, who is this? I don't even recognize this name. He doesn't even live in my area. But yeah, slowly but surely I'm trying to connect everybody together and make them aware of our shared heritage here. So yeah, I don't think that there's any branch of the family yet that I don't have at least some sort of connection with at least 2 or 3 people with. So now it's just a matter of spreading the word through those people.
Yeah, I think I got to get busy on the Lindemann side and get that out more. So
now, is there much of a branch on the Lindemann side with the? I'm not sure I'm pronouncing this right because I've only ever seen it printed. Verbruge, is that how you say it?
The what?
Is it Verbruge? Verbrugge?
I've never seen that one with the Lindemans.
Oh, really? I want to say it was your grandpa Carl Lindemann's sister who married a Verbruge, I think.
Oh, Verbrugge?
Oh, is that how it's pronounced? Okay.
V is in victory?
Yeah.
Yeah. They had no children.
Oh,
and
okay.
the Verbrugge side, I've got a little bit of the history, but there were no Anna Lindemann and Gillis. Verbrugge had no children.
Oh, okay. No children.
So there are no descendants. The only descendants in the Lindemann side come from Carl Lindemann, Henry Lindemann, and Lizzie Skolton.
And Lizzie had, 5 children, I think?
Yeah, she had 5 children, and they were in Rockford.
Okay. And did those 5 children produce a pretty big family?
I don't know that they produced a big family. There is some family still surviving. Okay. And I need to work on that side a little bit. And we worked on it a little bit for my dad's 80th birthday, and then it didn't all fall together, so I kind of stopped, and so I will work on that one.
I think that branch and the Juergens branch, we need to work on that one a little more. And I think the Van Loo branch.
The Van Loo branch is out in Montana, I think.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know how much of that is still surviving or not, but when most of the Van Loos, once they reached adulthood, they went west. They went to Montana, I think it is.
Okay.
I've got some of that information here. I got to dig for something else on the other side of the family in the next couple weeks. So I'll look for that too and see. And the Jergens, some of the Jergens are in Humboldt.
I think they kind of went all over.
Yeah, and they just kind of did their own thing.
Yeah. Some are still in the West Bend area, I think.
Yeah, I think there are some there, and I know my brother was good friends with one in high school, but that's a number of years ago. So, and I'll ask him at Thanksgiving time what he's heard about him, but see what we can do.
Great. Any other ideas for ways that we can promote the reunion over the next couple of years, or activities or fun things that we could do at the reunion?
Well, one of the things I think we've talked about food, which I'm glad because that's the most important thing. But what about music of any type?
That's a good idea. It's something that in my mind has just kind of been floating around with ideas here and there, but I haven't thought of any good concrete plans. Does anybody have any good suggestions on the music front?
Does anybody play the accordion?
Well, I'm thinking some of those New Ulm people ought to do that.
Well, that's what I was thinking, those New Ulm people.
Like a polka type thing.
Yeah.
You know, for the I think that'd be fun for everybody if you could get the right people, because I think that the youth would like to see, you know, the way it was.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think we got to have some polka music or German, you know.
Yeah,
music.
yeah. If we can't find the authentic, we'll just get some DVDs or CDs.
They could come and hopefully they'd play, you know, a couple of hours for us, or you know, or just depending on, you know, when we could, you know, and then we could have other music too, you know, and.
That's true. What about?
I have a nephew that's in a band.
Yeah, that's not the right kind of music, though.
Well, no, not necessarily that. We can have other kinds of music, you know. We don't have.
Yeah, that's true. What about PowerPoint or some sort of pictures going of all the pictures you have, Josiah, that you're kind of the collections that you're having, so that could be running all the time with names of the people and.
And I think
what would be fun to do would be to have like a video, kind of like a documentary sort of thing that people could watch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you should have your books for sale there.
Yeah, hopefully that should be ready by then.
That would be great.
And I think we should have some kinds of mixers or reintroductions of, you know, how we're related and kind of to help bring the relationships out and do some mixers so that, you know, we don't all stay in our own little family groups.
Yeah.
Because I'm afraid that's going to happen. That's
I think it's going to happen. Yeah. It's always going to happen. But, you know, if we could try to do a little bit of stuff to break that a little bit. Now, the food item, I have one thing that I need to bring up there, and I'm looking for the connection in that both my sister and I in the last 2 years have been diagnosed with celiac disease. And they say celiac disease is a Northern European, it's more prominent in Northern European descendants. So I do not know whether, I haven't figured out where we, you know, how we got it or where we picked it up from, because I've not found any relatives.
What type of disease is this?
It is not an allergy, but a digestion problem with wheat, barley, and rye.
Oh, darn. Okay.
Yeah. And, you know, so I just don't know where we got it from. But, you know, comparing some family history notes, too, or some family health notes might be something that's helpful too.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
It might be neat. I don't know how much it would cost with several thousand people showing up, but it might be neat to give each person like a personalized card or a personalized flyer or something that shows their lineage back to our one single common ancestor, and when somebody meets somebody else, they could compare their cards or their flyers and see, oh, there's our common ancestor right there. So, we share a common great-great-grandparent, which would make us, third cousins or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe
I was watching.
Go ahead.
I was watching the show tonight thinking, gee, I wish we could do something like that with everybody there, type thing. But I don't know how you'd make that work.
Yeah.
Maybe you could put something on something you could wear around your neck, like what they wear on
like a lanyard or something?
ID cards, and then you could, just flip it up. You wouldn't even hardly know it was there. So.
Yeah, that's a good. And you wouldn't think that would be too expensive. I mean, you could just we could get a few people together to hand make them, and Yeah,
lanyards aren't that expensive. You can. I've ordered them for church activities from Oriental Trade for, maybe, what is it, maybe $80, or maybe you get 12 for $10 or something like that. And that's, I know I've gotten them there, but they just haven't seemed that expensive. So.
Yeah.
What about a Schmidt family cookbook?
That's something, That's something that would be a great idea.
I mean, it would be, churches do it all the time, and different organizations. We could, if they still do it, maybe they don't do it anymore with, everything's so accessible now to just punch it in. But I think it'd be something. It'd be kind of a little keepsake too, But we could maybe raise some money with those.
Yeah. It would be nice to have some of the old Schmidt family recipes.
Yeah.
I always felt like I got left out because great-grandpa wouldn't let anybody talk German in the house, and so the recipes and stuff never got carried down.
Now, Denise, I think I read something that you had written a while back where you mentioned some of the different dishes that your German immigrant ancestors ate, and some of them sounded pretty exotic. What were those again? Do you remember?
Well, what were they?
I can't remember.
Are you talking like the suet pudding?
I think that's what it was. Yeah, I think that was one of the things.
The suet pudding for Christmas.
Yep, that's what it was.
That got changed to chocolate pudding because my dad and his sister didn't think that sounded too good when Grandma passed away. And but see, we always heard about the Schmidts and all of the bologna and all of the meat that they did and they cure. And before we would cut up meat in Humboldt, there would be a trip made to West Bend to get the bologna stuffing or the casings for bologna, and there seemed like there was always a West Bend trip before we could do a lot of that because they had to consult with the guys in West Bend on how to do it. And then there was a recipe based on the West Bend recipe. So
and then it was altered just enough so that it was a little bit better, right?
No, I think it was pretty well followed the West Bend recipe because the West Bend recipe was kind of like the gospel. according to Carl.
That's funny.
Here's something interesting I just remembered is that I actually have a book in German on the area where our ancestors came from in Germany. And in this book, they have recipes from that area in Germany, in German. Like I see here in German, so I'd have to translate it first. But I see here one for buttermilk soup, one that translates to grease balls. Let's see, this one translates to just hot soup. I'd have to look and see what.
But you know what would be neat if we did that, Josiah, to have it in German and then the translation below it. You know, that would be kind of neat, I think. You know, have it since you got it. You know, if we could, but if they would let us do that. But.
Yeah. Going back just momentarily to the music idea that somebody mentioned, were we thinking possibly engaging the services of some bands or singers and doing like a formal concert where it's during a certain time period, or maybe just inviting some bands or performers to kind of mill about in the open air?
I don't know. To me, it's almost like we have to look at the time frame and have a entertainment subcommittee to kind of put some things together, some recommendations based on the time frame, and you know, otherwise we're kind of shooting in the dark here on this.
Yeah.
We'll have to have some kind of a schedule.
Yeah.
I think, you know. Are we going to do a bus tour?
Yeah.
I'm getting off subject. Were we gonna do a bus tour?
Yeah, that's an idea that I've heard a lot of positive feedback from a lot of people. A lot of people think it would be pretty neat to have one or multiple buses that go from Spencer down to West Bend, and you can see the Schmidt Century Farm and the Grotto of the Redemption and maybe the cemetery where everybody's buried. So yeah, it would be nice if anybody in our extended family owned a bus and would be willing to maybe just get reimbursed for the gas. That might save us money.
Now that would take some time, though, wouldn't it? I mean, if you're going to have meals and all this other stuff going on, are you going to have a meeting of all of the guests? You know,
I think when we do the Guinness World Record attempt, part of the stipulations that the Guinness World Record Association sent us is that we have to get everybody who's going to be part of this, who's going to be officially counted as part of this reunion. Everybody has to be in the same cordoned off area for at least 10 minutes. They're going to have like a buzzer that sounds at the beginning and a buzzer that sounds at the end. So I'm thinking maybe while everybody's in that cordoned off area, we could have some sort of entertainment or some fun event where we all get together.
Well, it would be kind of fun to have families together just so that there'd be a spokesperson then that says, we're the descendants of this person,
Yeah. Maybe we could have different colored, like you've got your design for your shirt. Maybe we could have different colors for the different branches.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I've been thinking that I'd like to do is a color, like the Lindemans have, red. That happened to be the show color for us was red. But, everybody have kind of a different color or whatever so that you kind of can see which branch comes. Might be kind of cool.
Yeah.
As you're talking about, that 10-minute where the buzzer goes off at the beginning and at the end, and of course there's cameras on the entrances and the exits and on the crowd so that can all be documented when it sends off to the Guinness organization. If you have a long day for the event or is this going to be a 1-day, 2-day, 3-day?
2-day we're planning on at the moment. I think it's July 30th and 31st, which is going to be a Saturday and a Sunday.
Yeah, you really have to focus on that 10-minute thing being the central part. And the most important parts of the day are right before that and right after that, the grabbers. And then the bus tours or whatever, kind of on the fringes of that, kind of to get people there. But what you don't want is people to come and go. Well, I've been there a half hour or so, and I'm not having a good time, because you need them all there for that 10 minutes.
Good thought.
And keeping them there might not be as easy as one would think. So you really have to focus on the times right ahead of and behind that.
And I know it's really cold at the moment, but in July it might be sweltering hot. So we'll also probably have to think about ways to keep people cool during the event, since it's going to be at the fairgrounds and there's going to be a lot of walking outside going on.
Well, and especially
our elder people.
That's just what I was thinking, our elderly and stuff like that. So.
One of the things that we've done in our Carlson family reunions, Becky always co-chairs that with one of our cousins, and they've always had like a whole section for just children's activities to keep the young ones entertained and busy and yet having fun and enjoying things, so that the parents can talk and mingle and the kids aren't kind of working them over to get them to leave.
Right. Yeah.
There's little contests that they do, and then, and by the end of it, every little child there under the age of 10 wins something.
Okay.
It's a lot smaller scale than this, too.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun things that we could do for kids' activities.
Yeah.
Now, when you do the Carlson family reunion, is it something where the parents are able to drop their kids off and they have like designated caretakers that watch the kids for them?
We haven't done that. It's always been in one big room. We just typically use the VFW here in Emmitsburg for that.
Oh, okay.
Or, over at the park or something. And so it's, basically one big room, but they're just in a separate section, and somebody is, and the parents are watching them have their little contests and their games and things like that too, but they can still, visit with their cousins.
Mostly for the kids, So.
Well, and some good mixers for the kids and kids 0 to 25, so that people, connect and they maybe keep track of some of their cousins, their distant cousins, rather than this is just something we've, we're here because somebody said we had to be here. And
And sometimes the little kids will bring their parents together, like, oh, how old's your little one, and then they just start talking, and stuff. And now who do you belong to? It just kind of,
And we're really looking at a generational thing. This is really, we're doing this generational study thing at work, and there's really 5 living generations right now. And all 5 of those living generations, plus the ones that aren't categorized yet, that are still in school or preschool, are going to be there. And so you really have to have something that grabs all 5 of those groups.
Yeah.
You've got the GI generation, the silent generation, the boomers, the Generation Xers, and then the millennials. And each group has a different set of triggers that, the older 2 groups are probably going to just want to interact with each other and visit. But then you've got the boomers that are a little bit more outgoing, and the Gen Xers that need to be on their cell phones all the time, and the millennials that aren't too much different, that are, that's the group that's going to be a little bit harder to grab.
But a lot of them maybe will be there because their parents are there and have encouraged them to be there. And but there again, if we can get them through for that 10 minutes that we really need them, and then
right,
I wonder if, because this is in Spencer, if we can't focus some of the opportunities or optional activities up at the lakes for some of the younger ones.
Yeah.
Ahead of and behind that 10 minutes.
Absolutely.
And
now, what would people think about time of day for this record attempt? Because the actual record attempt itself might only take 10 minutes, but it's probably going to take maybe an hour for 5, 6, 7,000 people to file into the grandstands, and then probably an equal amount of time for everybody to file out afterwards. And when they're in there, we might want to have some sort of entertainment or some sort of event. So it might turn into maybe like a 3-hour thing. Would people think maybe towards the end of the day when the sun's starting to set and it's getting a little cooler, or maybe at the very beginning of the day, or sometime in the middle, perhaps?
There's so many arguments for that.
Yeah.
I think you want to allow plenty of time for people to either travel in or travel out.
Yeah.
So if they're coming from a distance, they still have time to drive to the airport or drive home or whatever they're going to do if you're looking at a Saturday or Sunday. Yeah. I think just that it would be better to be around 5 o'clock at night, 6 o'clock at night on Saturday night, and have like a banquet or something or whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe not a banquet, but something.
Yeah.
And have like the picture at 4 o'clock or late afternoon.
That's really good, Becky. A big picture. Yeah, a good picture of everybody, or the pictures. And then.
Or that's when we do the Guinness thing around 4-ish later in the afternoon, or.
Yeah.
I don't.
And then because if you wait till Sunday, you might lose part of the group.
Yeah. Yep.
And if you do it too early, some of the group might not be there yet.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to, plan like our main activity, whether it's a banquet or a, whatever, to immediately follow the Guinness record so that it is the push, it is the thing that everybody wants to be there for.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Some people have mentioned it might be fun to have a small fireworks show. Maybe that could be like the kind of end of the evening finale thing after the Guinness World Record attempt.
That would be good.
Do we have anybody
in the expensive thing though? Because you have to have somebody who is able to do that, not just anybody can do that.
Right, exactly, yeah.
So it does that does get expensive. You could almost have a concert, have a band there for the amount you'd pay for that.
That's a good point, yeah.
And then you'd have
a concert might be a good idea.
You'd have to wait until dark for that, and so then you're talking, in July, 10 o'clock, or even later.
True.
Yeah.
Is there camping at the fairgrounds? Can people?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And I have some numbers. I think I posted them on Facebook in that family reunion Facebook page about a year ago. But there's some pretty good numbers there for camping spots that even have plumbing and electricity, and then they've got even more camping spots
I
that
remember
are
now. Yeah.
a little rougher. And then, of course, in the surrounding area also, there's other places where people can camp too. I liked the idea that somebody brought up about maybe doing the concert during that time when everybody is in the grandstands and having to sit there for an extended period of time. That might be a good way to get them in there and keep them entertained.
Or a comedian.
Yeah, or maybe even some kind of like a variety show or like a talent show.
Yeah.
Maybe the relatives who are attending the reunion, maybe if they have a band of their own or a talent, and do kind of like some kind of talent show where everybody can showcase their.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Just kind of thinking on the whole general thing and the family history part of it, we might check with some of the universities to see if, like, in the history departments or anything, they're doing any kind of, genealogy research or family history research, or if there'd be anything that, they might have, or they might, be able to offer us or help us, put together some kind of an activity because of, research that's being done or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of a brainstorm, but
I think I saw something about some university, I can't remember exactly which one off the top of my head, that was reconstructing the inside of one of the ships that German immigrants would come over on, so you can see exactly how they would have slept and eaten. And I think it was a university here in Iowa, I think eastern Iowa. I can't remember which college it was that was doing that, but that might be kind of interesting if we, could reconstruct like a room in steerage on one of those steamships that they would have come over on in the 1880s or something.
Yeah.
I like that. That's kind of a neat idea.
Any other ideas or suggestions?
Of a church, we could do a church service in German.
Yeah, because half of it's going to be on Sunday. It might be interesting to have an authentic German church service on that Sunday morning.
Phenomenal idea.
I don't know who.
Who are you going to find to do the German speaking?
I know.
Zaya's dad.
Yeah, he'd have to brush up on his German. I think he took maybe a year or two of German in high school, but maybe he'd be willing to do that.
My niece Sarah just got back. I mean, she spent a year in Germany, not in our part of Germany, but as a exchange student. But I can't volunteer her for anything, so I don't know how her, I think her speaking is probably better than her reading, but
I was just thinking there's got to be a minister, even retired minister now that maybe would remember something. I don't know. Just.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I just know that in my ELCA circles, to find somebody to do some of that is really getting further and harder to find.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure in a family of 7,000 people, we can find somebody who might be able to, even if they can't do it themselves, maybe they know somebody. We have a lot of relatives out in rural Pennsylvania. I don't know how many of them I'll be able to convince to come to the reunion because it's such a long trek, but I'm sure that a lot of them have a lot more experience with old German culture than we do.
Well, Sal, I wonder about the Mrs. Benson up in Peter. I don't know.
I email with her. She's got kids who are missionaries, and
she's from that college.
Her husband passed. There. Oh, he was the minister.
Okay.
Stan.
Stan. Yeah. But maybe she would know somebody from that college. Isn't that
exactly? Augustine. No, not the one at St. Peter.
Augustine.
Augustus.
Davis Adolphus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that's where Sarah's at right now. Is she's finishing her senior year at Augustus Adolphus, Davis Adolphus, at St. Peter.
This is your niece. You should ask her or your daughter.
My niece.
Okay.
I will.
Ask her if she knows of anybody.
Yeah, and my brother-in-law's a pastor up there, and one of the other boys went to Yeah, I just can't say it tonight. So, but yeah, when I see him, I'll ask them and see what they know, and try to post something on the family website.
We had also mentioned on the family website maybe creating either painting or printing some kind of giant family tree display for the reunion that shows every single name, and that way, people can take pictures in front of it, in front of their place on the family tree, or they can actually see the connection. Does anybody have any sort of experience or any leads for people who might be able to do some sort of enormous painting or mural?
We can think about it.
Donnie Juergens from Humboldt. His dad, and I don't know what he does anymore, but his dad was like the guru, before he passed away, the guru of painting cars and stenciling and stuff. And I think he had painted some really fancy rooms for his grandkids. And I don't know if Donnie is painting cars anymore or not. Let me do some asking my brother and my dad what they know.
Is he Vic Juergens' son?
Yep, Vic's son.
Okay, yeah. So he should be he'll be invited to the reunion. Hopefully he'll show up.
That's one of those that I think we're going to have to say, come on, Donnie, come with us.
Yeah.
So. First,
I think it'll help if we, once we get the word out to each of these individual branches. One of our other cousins on the Facebook page had mentioned maybe as part of this bigger Schmidt reunion, we encourage everybody to have their own family reunions for the smaller branches there at the Schmidt reunion.
So
it's not just this, for some people, they are a Schmidt, or their grandma was a Schmidt, so they still feel some kind of connection to it. But for some people, maybe it was their great-great-grandparent was a Schmidt, and they, why am I going to this reunion? I never knew anybody with that last name in my family, so it might help if we, have like a Schaefer reunion under the umbrella of the Schmidt reunion, a Krug reunion, a Lindemann reunion, so on and so forth. Yeah.
I think we kind of talk about that, Val, too, of maybe kind of doing something.
Yeah.
With our group too, but like we were talking earlier, I'm afraid that's what's going to happen. Everybody's just going to kind of go to their own group, which I can understand.
Yeah, that's the risk. Yeah.
But if there's some sort of at least at some point in time, everybody needs to, because there's a lot of us we don't see very often either, of our own groups. But at some point, there's a reason that you have to go to the next table, like some sort of bingo, where you have to find somebody who's, grew up out of state, or somebody who's from the Krug family, or you have to find somebody who's from and name 3 things about them that you didn't know, or, something like that. So that it forces people to move around and talk to others.
Yeah, those would be great icebreakers. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, we've got to make sure we mix it up good and.
Mhm. And I think if we can show people the actual common ancestor that they have with these, what are essentially going to be strangers, I think maybe that will make it a little more real for them. Yeah, sure, we're fourth cousins, but when you see our grandparents were siblings. Oh, okay.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Makes it a little more, real for them.
Yeah. Well, I think I was married before I even knew Grandma's maiden name. I never knew she was a Schmidt, but she was always just Grandma Schaefer to me, so I didn't ever pay attention. But so that's part of that, the younger, nobody cares or something. My grandkids probably don't even know, stuff Well, I know they don't. That they should know.
Yeah.
But.
Well, yeah, I know. I mean, I don't think I totally put the Schaefer part together with the Schmidt until we started putting this all, until Jared Saya started putting all this together, and then, oh, that's why Grandpa knew the Schmidt or the Schaefers as well as he did, and yeah.
And a lot of people back then just didn't have the time to be writing up genealogies and sitting around talking about the old days. I mean, it's a different era. Yeah.
Well, I don't know about the Schmidts, but the Schaefers were pretty tight-lipped about everything. You'd have to just pry them, a story out of them, about their
the Schmidts were the same way. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
All right. Well, these are some great ideas. Does anybody else have any other suggestions? Anything else?
I'm thinking I'm running out of ideas tonight.
For the next meeting for next quarter, it would be sometime in January, February, March. Does anybody have any days during that period that are just absolute no-nos? Times that are really bad, you're going to be on vacation, you're going to be on a cruise or something like that?
No January for me.
No January, okay.
Becky, no January.
Okay.
I have meetings on Tuesday night, the second and the third Tuesday night of a month.
Okay, every third Tuesday night of the month.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I got to sit on church council yet, so.
Okay. Anybody else have any times or days of the week or periods during this next fiscal quarter that you just won't be able to make any meetings?
Hit and miss.
Okay.
It just depends on the day.
Just
how are Saturday evenings for people?
Not good for me.
No, I'd rather not.
Too much on Saturday evenings going on.
How about Sunday evenings?
That's better for me.
Sunday evenings?
March would be okay for Sunday evenings.
Okay.
Otherwise, Sunday evenings is a lot of times when we get together with Mom as a family.
Okay.
Yeah, Sunday evenings are kind of hit and miss for me. It kind of depends on what's on the schedule. So,
what about Monday evenings?
Monday evenings, would that work pretty well for everybody?
Monday, February 9th. How about that? Just set it up now and we can always change it.
Absolutely. Monday, February 9th works for me. Is there anybody that doesn't work for? And this is just tentative, by the way. We can still change it, like you said.
Let me find a calendar. Oh, I don't even have. I think it should work.
Okay.
I think it should work for me too, but something can come up in at any time. So.
Yep.
I may be in Washington D.C., and if I am, I can call in. I think.
Okay. What times of day work best for people? Kind of late evening, like 8 p.m.?
Yeah.
Works for me.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to go much later than 8 p.m.
Gotcha. Okay, so tentatively we can plan on the 9th of February, which is a Monday, 2015, maybe about 8 p.m. in the evening. And then as that date draws closer, we have a wide open calendar and we can move it around if need be.
Okay, sounds good.
Sounds good.
Okay, great. Well, thanks everybody for bearing with me, and thanks for your... Oh, go ahead.
One question here. I'm writing this stuff down. The poll you took on Facebook about contributions from family individuals. So we're going to go with the option, and it's I missed this, a scale of A motion was carried. We're going to do a sliding scale. Is that what you?
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe we do like an option for $25 individual contribution, and then maybe in $5 increments, everything between 25 to 0. So 25, 20, 15, 10, 5, 0. Okay. And it's just whatever people are able and willing.
So it's going to be a contribution fee.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Contribution fee. Okay, that's all.
Okay, great. Thanks, everybody, for your suggestions, and we'll keep in touch on Facebook. And
I had one more question. You know, you've got some expenses that have already started. Is there, some upfront funds that we can or should be doing?
I did the website out of my own pocket, so right now that's the only reunion-related expense. As we start raising funds, the first expenses will be the filing fees for becoming a nonprofit and getting our tax exemption. And I think we'll need $100 to just start up the bank account.
Okay.
And pretty much after that, there's not going to be a whole lot of expenses until about 6 months before the reunion, so January of 2016-ish. That's when we'll need to start making expenditures. So what we can do is start raising money pretty much right away after we get set up as a nonprofit. And we could actually put that money in, like I said earlier, put it in CDs, put it in an interest-bearing account, and we could actually start making some money with that because we're not really going to be needing to spend it right away. So that's another source of income for us.
Yeah.
Do we need to ask people for this ahead of time, or should we put it on Facebook, or?
So I'm thinking what we can do is I'll set something up on our reunion website, which is at www.schmidtsreunite.com. And we'll probably just have a form on there, and people can do it all online, or we can put an address, a mailing address, on the website, and people can send in checks if they like for that amount. And we can probably just make it part of the RSVP process. So when people either go online and fill out the RSVP form, or when they print off a form and send it in to us through snail mail, they can send in their contribution with that, and then we can mark them on the spreadsheet that they're definitely attending.
Give me that website one more time, please.
Absolutely. It's www.schmidts, SCHMIDTS, reunite, REUNITE, and that's all one word with no spaces or dashes or anything. Mm-hmm. And then that's .com is the end of that.
Okay, very good.
Yep.
Okay. Do you need everybody to get a copy of the minutes, or should I send them to you, or just?
You can send them to me, and then since I have everybody's email address, then I'll send them out to everybody, and I'll send you all a copy of the bylaws so that you can look over them. And if you see anything you think we should add to the bylaws or subtract or change, we can do that at the next meeting. We can make some amendments if need be.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Okay.
All right. Thanks so much, everybody. The meeting is adjourned.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you so much. Everybody have a good evening and a happy Easter. Or happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving.
Oh, it's time for me to go to bed. I'm sorry.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.